so thrilled you're back in my studio this month, and I'm glad that Brenda Martino's in my studio as well this month because we're talking about learning new skills as a network marketer, primarily or in any part of our lives. By the way, I'm Stacy Hall. Of course, you know that. And this is my column about the power of women in network marketing. And we're talking about how do you learn new skills? You might think it's a little strange that I asked Brenda, who's a grief release specialist in addition to being a network marketer, to talk about this topic. You might have thought I would have brought in a techie kind of person. But no, because it just makes sense that when we're grieving something, we've lost something. And that usually means we have to learn to acquire some new skills after that. So Brenda's got a lot of experience in helping people get started newly. And that's why I wanted to talk with her about that for this month's issue. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Stacy. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure completely. So let's get right to it. I know you have three principles, we'll say, or three steps towards learning anything new. And I'm thrilled that you do. I'm thrilled that you've broken it down into small bite-sized steps because the first feeling that most people have is overwhelm. And I know you deal with that a lot when you're helping folks get past the loss of somebody very important to them. Is there anything you can say about that feeling of overwhelm before we talk about the three solutions, the three steps which form the solution to getting past that overwhelm? What do you want to say about what you've seen in people and what overwhelm keeps them from doing?
Many times when people are in overwhelm, they just are stuck. They can't move forward. They can't move back. They just don't know what to do, so they do nothing. And so that's one of the things that I think that people have to be willing, have to have the willingness to learn, and you have to help them get out of that stuck stage and overwhelm. So sometimes just having someone get you to take some deep breaths and think about it. I teach meditation, and that helps a lot to get them into that thought that I can do this. Because when you lose a loved one, many times you don't think you can go on.
Very much so. I myself was in the position of being a grief release specialist a few minutes ago before we got into the studio. Unexpectedly, I'm talking with somebody who's dealing with the loss of somebody close to them and was feeling themselves like she said she didn't get dressed yet, and she just couldn't wrap her head around getting into action. And so I gave her some tips myself. But I love your tips, and you really started talking about one of them, which is the willingness to learn. So step number one is if we are going to develop new skills, we have to make sure that we want to, correct? Can you say more about that? And how does
Correct.
somebody get into that mindset of wanting to?
It is a mindset thing. You do have to want to learn. And I've discovered in my business, if I don't want to learn something, then just hire somebody to do it. But you can't do that with someone who's grieving. So, uh, yeah, now I kind of forgot what we were talking about.
Willingness to learn. How can somebody develop, or why is that
To
an
develop the
important
willingness
first
to
step?
learn. Yes, it's such a difficult thing for me because I always wanted to learn everything. And so when I run across people who aren't willing to learn, it's really, really difficult to get them going. So I think it helps to have someone who's been there to guide you. and just to put things at one step at a time, just one step. If you can just do one thing, then you're going to be able to do another. It's sort of like I heard a speech one time about when you get out of bed, make your bed. And it seems so ridiculous, but it's the first step. When you get out of bed and make your bed, then you can go on and do something else. Um, so taking the first step is very important.
So, willingness to learn, taking the first step, and then you kind of gave us a sneak peek into the second step, which is, I know for you, is don't try to go it alone. Find somebody who's been there before. One
Yes.
person, maybe, who's been there
Yes.
before. So, can you say more about that?
Yes. If you find someone who's been there before, they've already made a path. So would you want to go down a path that somebody else has already made for you, or would you want to take your little axe and make your own path? It's easier or for me, it's easier to let someone else guide me, give me that assistance to, uh, here's where you start, and here's where you go next, and so on. So definitely going down the right path helps a lot.
Okay. And I would expect that right now, some people might be saying, well, I don't know where to find somebody. So let's say we were applying this to learning automation, right? Which is,
Mhm.
seems to be on people's minds a lot right now. And there's a lot of people raising their hands and saying, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you. So that can be overwhelming as well, which is why I like the third step that you talked about, because actually you may have to go to the third step in order to come back to the second step, which is finding a group of people who are all wanting to learn at the same time, right? Or some of whom may know a little bit and can help you get started. So, how does one, in your opinion, make some decisions about a support group, not just a mentor?
Yes. D- for me, like I'm on Facebook a lot. Whenever I am stuck on something, I start looking around in my groups to see what people are talking about and see if I can find someone there who I think is a pro, or not necessarily a pro, but they know more than me. So when I do that, that's a place to start. If I can't find someone in a group that I'm in, then I'll start looking through groups to see, new groups to see if I can find someone, or ask friends for recommendations. Um, it's another great way to find the support that you need. Um,
Yeah,
Kind
well,
of
let's
drawing a
talk
blank.
about that. Asking friends for recommendations. I have more often than not, I've heard after the fact when somebody needed help that they figured it out. And they'll say something like, I struggled with this for so long. And I always say, why did you struggle? Why did you choose the struggle instead of asking for help? And so have you seen that as well?
Oh yes, yeah. Most people either they say they don't want to bother anybody else,
Yeah.
or they're too afraid to ask anyone else because they don't want to look stupid. Um, and they're all silly things. When you were a child and you couldn't do something, you would ask for help. Why do we change when we're adults? We don't know everything. So ask.
Usually it's because someone made us feel stupid, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
truly anybody I've ever said, "Why didn't you ask for help?" The way I approach it with them is, if I asked you for help, would you give it to me? And every single time they say yes.
Hmm.
Every
Yes,
single time. Same for you?
every single time. Yep.
Yeah. And usually that'll break it out of them is, if you would help someone else, why not ask someone to help you?
Right.
And I'm going to go back to number two, which
Okay.
is finding the expert who really has carved the path, like they know what they're doing. for me, if I've made some friends in the area, it does make it easier to say, now, who do you think is the expert here? So, Brenda, would you agree with that as well?
I definitely agree with that, yeah. It's finding, and it's not just finding an expert, it's finding the right expert, finding someone that resonates with you, that, especially in grief, but with anything, you wanna find someone who makes you feel comfortable while they're helping you out, and, yeah, just find somebody that knows a lot more than you do, someone who's been there and they resonate with you.
Yes. And I say it's kind of like, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So you ask friends, who do you like? You might go and talk to somebody that one friend likes. And you're like, I don't know why. Because they fit, okay? Then you ask someone else, and for another reason it doesn't fit. Don't stop until you find the one who makes you feel comfortable and supports you in the way you want to be supported. And I
Exactly.
call this finding somebody with a green thumb. Like, I've written about this in my books before as well. Is
Mhm.
somebody who's already at the blooming stage. And I think most people would ask someone for gardening tips. Like, if you're putting in a rose bush and you've got a friend who's done it, I think most people would go, hey, what food do you feed your rose bush, right? So that it looks
Right,
so beautiful. And they wouldn't think they were being stupid asking that.
right.
Is there anything more you want to say about you see that difference too? It's like they have no problem asking for that, but if it's business related or tech related, all of a sudden it gets a little weirder.
Right, and I don't know if it's because they don't feel like they know the terminology, or they don't, they don't know what they're doing, obviously, but yeah, how else are you gonna learn if you don't ask for help? It's so funny.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes when I see people struggling, I might ask them if if they would like some guidance, or if I could help them in some way. But that's just me. I'm always offering people to, and I have friends who do the same thing. So if somebody offers, take them up on it. Don't say, "Oh no, I'll figure it out."
I'm writing that down. Yes. Accept offers of support,
Yes,
especially if they're gifts. Like um,
especially.
especially if they're gifts. And I'm going to say that. It's like, no, I don't want to bother you. It's like, if the person wants to give you a gift, don't deprive them.
Yes, yes. It's just as important to accept a gift as it is to give a gift. So don't deprive them of that. You're right.
Yeah, it might be the way that they feel like they're making a difference in the world. So
Exactly.
allow them to do that for you. If they're the right kind of person for you. I
Yes.
will just say that. If everything else is equal and all is good and the only thing is you feel uncomfortable accepting the gift, then
Yeah.
work on
And
being able
always
to
follow
accept
your
a gift.
instincts. You'll know if something feels right, and if it does, go with it. Um, it's very rare that your instincts are wrong.
That's absolutely, and it's 100% right there with you, Brenda. Well,
Mhm.
Brenda, thank you for showing us that we can apply the same approach to getting past a grief and starting over as we can to something as simple as learning ChatGPT or
Yes,
any other kind of automation, right? It's the
exactly.
same principles. And to recap, you said have a willingness to learn. Make sure that you find somebody, as I say it, who's got a green thumb, as you say, who's an expert, who's been carving this path long before you and has mastered it,
Yes.
to show you where to step so you don't have to try to battle. Like I say, you don't have to try to blow up the mountain. The path is already created for you.
Yes.
Surround yourself with other people who want to learn or are learning what you want to learn, because through them you may also find an even better expert or someone with an even bigger green thumb.
Mhm.
And lastly, when people offer to help, accept the offer of help.
Yes.
Okay. Brenda,
Most
anything else you'd like to leave us with today? Any last thoughts about how to develop new skills?
No, but I've been around a few years, and I think if someone my age can develop new skills, anyone can. It's just being willing to get out there and do it. So be brave and take that step forward.
So we can teach any dog new tricks.
Yes, we can.
That's the way I say it. Yes, I'm a dog, and you can teach me new tricks, and I'm
Yes.
older than you are. So, all right, everyone, we are wishing you an abundance of sales, satisfaction, and success today, every week, every month, every year, for all the years to come. And we celebrate that you want to learn some new skills. Thanks, Brenda. Really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thank you, Stacy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.